friends, strangers, internet. My name is Emily Hanhan, and I love colorful makeup and colorful language. Today I'm here with another tag, but this time it's a tag that I've created. Kinda, sorta. My love of Twitter has been recently renewed thanks to Lacey over at Spooky Lips and Fat Hips, who recently created a Twitter, and it just reminded me that Twitter existed, and I'm back active on there and love it. And this thing that's been going around is a 6 things I like, and it's literally just 6 things you like, and then you can tag other people to do it. And there's something about it that, like, reading different people's like little lists has really like warmed the cockles of my heart. And you know, while it's not a specific like makeup themed thing, it inspired me to do a 6 things I like makeup tag video. So it's just really like in the spirit of just talking about things you like and not necessarily having to have a theme or have even a specific reason. I am going to talk about 6 things I like and put them on my face. The very first thing is no surprise if you've been on my channel for any period of time, and that is glowy blushes. So I'm mainly going to show you one product on my face, but I couldn't help but pull out a couple of my favorites. So the Jouer Duo, this is not super glowy. It has a soft glow to it in this color, and if you mix them together, it's quite nice. This is the Adore Me and Hold Me Duo. Then we have this Flor Mar blush from Mia of Mia's Virtual Vanity sent me this, and it's like a beautiful, I think it has like a Princess Barbie pink. Because I like more vibrant blushes, this is more of a blush topper for me. Speaking of vibrant blushes, I couldn't not give some love to my Cover FX Mojave Mauve duo. This side is matte, this side is shimmery. I always put them both on my face though. Love this. I know I mentioned it in my travel video. The color that I keep going back to in the fall is Apricot in the Middle by Wet n Wild. I'm gonna use this today, do kind of a warm blush. I've been really liking that. And the other reason why I like showing this some love is that while my feelings on Wet n Wild are a little torn right now, I think it's such an affordable blush with such a nice formula. And this is one of those blushes that I'll bring up on my temple and kind of layer over my bronzer. I do a little on the nose too, because Beat Bean. So it has a nice soft glow to it. For me, this is a soft glow. I put this on really heavily, but I have a thing later on that will diffuse it a little bit. You can really, I feel like, see on my nose the level of glow that it comes with. Another thing that I love, which is again, probably not a surprise for anyone that's been watching, I love highlighters. And lately, so I always like high shine. I've gotten into loving glittery highlighters. I like really shiny, really reflective highlighters. Some people are more into like the soft glow and the less intense, obnoxious highlights. I'm still on the obnoxious highlight train, but I think my favorite kind of in between is the glassy, sweaty highlight. So I recently really got into it thanks to a couple of highlighters from Makeup Obsessions. It was also in my travel video, which is why I fell back in love with it, because I was traveling with them. It's a quad of highlighters, but they're all depotable, and this is one of those highlights that I can like almost put all over my face without feeling moist on my face. But I wanted to today use Starburst. This is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I believe this is in the Sugar Glow kit, which is also depotable. I haven't been using this as much because I had it in a project pan. I hit pan on it, and I decided to just, you know, let it hang out a little bit and move on to some other highlighters I wasn't using as much. But this might be my favorite highlighter. It's definitely like top 3. To me, it is reflective without being too subtle for me. And it's a really nice tone for my skin. And the more you kind of buff, the more it brings out the pearl in the highlight. And you know, you can see like there's no really color there. And then you turn and you have that glow. And then it doesn't look that off if I just sweep it over my blush, because my blush was already glowy. I think that's, to go back to glowy blush, I think that's one reason why I got into that more, because I had trouble finding the kind of blend between highlight and blush when the blush was very, very matte. Because I do like such a strong like highlight, I felt like there was always an obvious line of demarcation. Whereas now if I just do that and bring it down, like obviously if you have a lot of texture on your face, you might not want that to show, but I also think you can wear whatever you want. And you know, if you feel good, screw what people think. But that's easier said than done, I know. But this one, I think you can really, like I said, you can layer it up, you can do a soft layer. I feel comfortable like putting it here and here without feeling like there's just a ton of kind of possible texture coming through. Yeah, I like that I can get this a softer glow or this wham kind of mirror shine. That's what it feels like. It feels like glass or like a mirror on my face. Okay, so next step will help with how I'm looking right now. So I love buffing. And I realize also when I'm talking about these, that a lot of these are more techniques than specific products. Obviously, I'm giving you some product options, but a lot of them are techniques or finishes that you can kind of adapt from your collection if you want to try them out. I really like buffing. So buffing is kind of the final step for the face. I love doing it with a loose powder. It's basically taking a powder and a big dense brush and buffing that powder all over the face. The thing that's great is that it can, okay, so for me, if I'm looking at my face right now, I do think I went a little strong up here on blush. So I'm gonna first apply the powder there and then go in and start buffing it around. And then I'll go down, picking up a little bit more powder. So for me, buffing is like that final step of correction. I can calm down blush or highlight or bronzer application. I can kind of blend them out a little bit more. And then for today, like I'm using a glowy powder, so it's gonna add an all over glow to the finished face. You don't have to use a glowy powder. So my like favorite part of this whole process is both the brush and the powder. I prefer using a loose powder. What I just did today is with a super fancy Hourglass Veil powder, but you don't need this. There's so many powders out there that you could use. If you're looking for pressed, Milani has a great glowy pressed powder. There's different options out there, and people on YouTube, there's lots of people that do buffing that you can look into for other more detailed advice. But the other part of the favorite thing is this brush. So this is a Sonia Kashuk brush, and it's just super dense, very soft, but it never feels like it's like pulling, I guess, at my face. Like it's buffing, but it's not, I guess, dragging in some way. So I love this. It's like $20 brush, which is not cheap, but for something you can pick up at Target, it's a really nice face brush. I really like this for first powder application and then for buffing. And I personally find that loose powder, I can pick up a little bit more loose powder and apply it lighter than with pressed powder. Sometimes with pressed powder, I feel like I have to really pick up a lot of product to then go in and buff. but I don't need a lot of product. I just need a little bit, but sometimes it can be hard to get a little bit of pressed powder dispersed onto like a big brush like this. So we're halfway through the list, and the next thing up, I mean, I think I have to get over the fact that I thought any of this was going to be new or groundbreaking, because one of my favorite things in makeup are duochromes and multichromes. And if you haven't, so I know that multichromes are totally having a moment right now, and rightfully so, because I do really love them, but they can be a little intimidating to some people. I think there are so many pretty duochromes out there that are a good entryway into playing with those kinds of formulas. I just have two right here that I love. So this one is Peachy Keen from JD Glow. It's a peach to green shift, and this one is the infamous Nabla Alchemy. But for me, these almost feel tame. These are like everyday looks, but I think I have to, you know, give it up to my multichrome kind of pressed shadows. And I've used this shadow once before, but it was in a much more over the top kind of look. This Messier from Divina. You know how I was just showing you all the beautiful multichromes that I love? I just dropped the palette. Well, I had pulled out the one that I wanted to use today. So we're gonna use that. And we're gonna go on with our day, and we'll deal with what happened there at a later date. I don't know where I was, so I'm gonna start again. So I love multichromes, and I love duochromes, but I almost feel like duochromes feel tame to me comparatively. Not every multichrome is made the same. They're not all gonna work the same, and they're not all going to blend out in the same way that I'm going to show you. So I guess this is kind of another thing that I love, is doing like one shadow or two shadow looks, and that is going in with a multichrome or duochrome. Duochromes are great for this, going in with one of those and using it just all over. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So the key to working with multichromes, duochromes, anything shimmery, anything shiny, is glitter primer. I love the NYX one. I'm sure there's other good ones out there. That's another thing I love. Because I have short nails, I'm gonna do it with my finger. I spread it out on my finger just a little bit, and then first application is directly on the lid, and then I use whatever I feel is left over and I push it onto the skin above the lid. You want the glitter glue to stay sticky tacky, so you want to work pretty quickly. I'm also going to do this with my finger to start, but you can do it with a brush, just depends on the brush. And same idea, I start on the lid and really make sure it's packed on. That's where I want the shimmer and texture, because these do have a lot of texture to them. So if you're gonna deal with texture on the eyes, I feel like it kind of looks the coolest there. Now the next part you can do with your finger or with a brush. I pick up a little bit more product. Well, first I'm just gonna dab it on the outer corner because it was missing. And then I start on the upper part of the eye. And I'm really just going back and forth, back and forth. I'm trying to not do that kind of motion on the lid, but just up here. I'm going to show you doing a little bit more blend out. This is with a kind of brush that I can use to pack on shimmer, but I can also pick it up, and then I'll do the same. I'm going to start on the lid, and I'm doing the first touch down there to make sure I'm not too heavy-handed, and then back and forth, and I take it all the way up, but that's the way I like it. I don't have that much space, so I use the space I have. And you can start seeing the base of the multichrome come out the further you blend up. For this outer corner where I've gone a little too heavy, I just kind of wipe. This Multichrome, it's not like what you would see at Cliona where it's like blue to green to red. It's more subtle, I would say. It kind of has a brown base, but then I see purple and turquoise with a little red. And I think that that brownish reddish base is what makes it kind of something that you can do this technique with. And this is one of those things that if I'm not recording, I can do like yesterday I actually did a 10-minute face. I didn't do any concealer or foundation. I just did basically color products, and I did this technique exactly. And I had a timer. I have to set a timer when I'm in a rush, because otherwise I'll sit down and do a ton of makeup by accident. And I set a timer and I got it done in 10 minutes. The other thing that I just did is that I went back in with a second layer of glitter glue and a second layer of the Multichrome to really make that lid super intense. I like the sheer texture of a lot of Multichromes because you can layer and build them up, or you can do something softer. So now that we have an epic layer of Multichrome eyeshadow all over from lid to brow, I also did a little bit of my bronzer blush on my lower lash line just to create some definition. It's time for my fifth thing that I like on the list, and that is a super bright reflective inner corner. I, for a very long time, have been very, very, very focused on bringing lightness and brightness to my kind of under eyes and inner corners. It's like the biggest probably area that it's the area I judge the most on myself, I'll say. And it doesn't have to be a natural lightness. It can be a color. I just love that like pop. It's just so good. It's so good to me. So I'm going to do another kind of special shadow, but you don't have to do that. You could use any reflective shade. I like using a little bit of glitter glue there for this specific kind of shadow. But you could also do this with a really good face highlighter or really any shade in a lot of different eyeshadow palettes. Because I like such a big, bright section of color on the inner corner, I'm using this brush, but you could definitely use a smaller or more detailed brush. I'm all about applying that first intense, just like I did on the lid basically, applying that first intense placement, and then maybe you need to wipe off the brush, maybe you don't. But using that brush to blend up and out a little bit. And while this is not necessarily like lighter, it's a color, so it's not lighter than like my skin. It creates that shine and reflection that hopefully you can see on camera. I don't always like to bring it down, but I did just a little bit here. And this color is kind of like the highlighter, and that the more you can kind of move the brush around and buff a little bit, you're going to get more shine and more reflection. Basically, you don't have to lighten my inner corner, but if somebody can do their makeup and the reflection from the inner corner, I'm happy. I've reached peak Emily. When you think your makeup was maybe kind of subtle, and then you put on your glasses and you realize, no, it was not. Okay, and so the last thing on my list, I don't know if they're like holy grails or anything like that. They're just things I like. And I think that's why I appreciated everyone's list on Twitter, because they were just things we like. So the last thing on this list are kind of glossy lips. So glossy lips can definitely mean lip gloss, and I have lots of lip glosses that I love, but there are a couple of other formulas that I also really enjoy. One being like a crayon kind of balm, This is the Just a Tint in Gimme S'more from Colourpop. And the other is the Essence Instant Care, and this is like a thin lipstick. And if you saw my travel video, I'm a broken record. If you saw my travel video, you saw that they were in there. I took both of these on my trip, and I really enjoy these formulas. And the thing I discovered on my trip is that layered together, these make a really pretty color. This color is a little bit challenging for me to wear in my own brain. It's a little cool toned. I'll show you. Actually, with this eye look, it's pretty because this brown has a lot of purple in it and it kind of goes with the eyes. But on its own, I do find it a challenging color to pull off. But it feels very, like, this one actually feels hydrating to me on my lips. It's a little thick in formula, but not too, you know, too thick. It has a decent amount of color to it, so it's not going to be as like easy to just throw on. You definitely want a mirror when wearing this. It's so comfortable, but it also has color to it, which I feel like can sometimes be challenging to find. The Colourpop one, it definitely feels less hydrating to me, less moisturizing, but on the opposite end, it's a thinner formula, and it's something that would be easier, specifically this color, would be easier to put on without a mirror. But mixed together, I feel like it's a more kind of neutral nude on me, and you know, neutral brown on me. It's a little less cool tone, but you still have a lot of that color from the Essence lipstick in there. I just love this kind of look on my lips. It helps my lips that have a lot of lines in them and a lot of texture to just look a little bit more pretty and less dry. And then it has color, so it's not super boring. And yeah, it's not going to be super incredibly long wearing for sure. These are not. But they're also extremely easy to reapply and extremely comfortable. So I've been all about it, all about the kind of moisturizing, glossy lip products. And that's it. That's 6 things I like. It could be something interesting to maybe make every season or make it like a favorites. I didn't really think about it that way, but it kind of is just like an abbreviated favorites list with some demo involved. 1, if you're a creator and you're watching, you are tagged. You are always tagged to make any kind of tag that I've created or posted. I'll probably tag some of my faves in the description box and on Twitter. You all know who they are. It's same people, same faves. But like I said, if you're watching and you make videos, feel free to make this tag and you know, send it to me on Instagram or Twitter so I can watch it. If you're watching and you want to let me know 6 things you're loving right now, leave them in the comments. They could be all makeup related or they don't have to be. If you enjoy this video, I would love for you to subscribe and follow along with my colorful shenanigans. If you liked it, feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you disliked it, feel free to give me a thumbs down. And thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. I hope to see you again real soon. Bye, friends.